Welcome to the weekend must watch on Intercut, the weekly show going through all the movies, the TV, the entertainment that people just can't cut away from. I'm your co-host Arturo Zurita, and joining me, he's got a banana in his tailpipe. It's Zachary Chevy.
All sorts of car troubles this week on Intercut. You got your car going again, bud?
I did take the banana out of the tailpipe, which is from, of course, Beverly Hills Cop. Did you do any Beverly Hills Cop 1, 2, or 3 rewatching?
I didn't go back to the classics. I really
funny.
should have. But yeah, no, I mean it's just nice to have Eddie Murphy back in our lives. Like so many of our comedy legends are just like not out there making funny movies anymore. And even if it doesn't quite hit the same way that the classics did, it's just sometimes nice to see your old friends.
You wouldn't put the old dog down? If you can't get him to be at
I'm
the
not
same
taking him
level,
out the pasture yet.
Not yet. I realized in rewatching the old Beverly Hills Cops and having done all of the, what is it? It's not even a trilogy. They're both 4 now. Bad Boys. They're the same
Right.
movie, bro. They're the exact same movie. They're both Jerry Bruckheimer action comedies with big stars in the front that are comedians. And in the same way, you're bringing Eddie back, but he's nowhere near what he was in Beverly Hills 1. You're bringing Martin Lawrence back, but he's nowhere near what he was in the first one. So I'm a little iffy. I'm not. It's not the worst that it's ever been, where you get a reboot and they bring people back and they're like puppeteering them back into the sets, but they were cute for what they were. But we got a lot of catching up to do because July has had a lot of movies. Streaming TV seems to be the biggest it's possibly been, and we got the Emmy nominations that are going through everything from last year. When I say last year, I mean the Bears season season 2 is barely getting nominated at the Emmy Awards. So we're going to be discussing that, a bunch of trailers, TV pilots, all that good stuff. So let's just get right into it with the movies. Any particular one you want to start with?
Why don't we start with the one we talked about at the top? Beverly Hills Cop: Axel F.
How long did it take for you to realize that this is where the song comes from?
I mean, I know that this is where the song comes from.
I never knew that.
Really?
When the song was at its peak,
next to me humming the Crazy Frog version of it throughout the movie.
You're watching the movie going, Axel F? Wow. Off of the Crazy Frog? That's ridiculous. Oh, did you see they actually did a combo?
I think all buddy cop movies would be improved by a riff as good as that one.
Literally, just don't even do the original.
Between scenes.
Yeah. Well, Beverly Hills Cop Axel F is the newest one to come out of the Beverly Hills series. I believe a majority of them are up on Netflix. You can probably watch one on Paramount Plus. But to me, my ranking has been, especially with this new rewatch, 1, he's hilarious as can be. 2's not as good, but Eddie is just as good. Yes. And then 3 is one that they even make fun in this one when Joseph Gordon-Levitt's reading through his files and he goes, yeah, that last 90s stunt wasn't that good. Overall, this new Beverly Hills Cop Axel F is trying to take a lot of the big things that legacy reboots tried to do and giving our main character a little bit of a change, sometimes an extra family member. They're bringing back as many people as they possibly can. What did you think overall of this new reboot, I guess?
Yeah, or like a legacy sequel. And I mean, I guess maybe not that because it is still starring the original people. Yeah, I don't know. Like I was saying at the top, I am glad to spend time in a comedy movie with Eddie Murphy. He's still got like a looseness with dialogue and banter that is mildly entertaining, even if the sharpness isn't quite there the same way that they were in the first couple movies in the series. But there, there's moments, right? Like I love the little exchange where Serge is struggling to understand how to pronounce Abbott, and he points to Abbott. Just like little moments like that still made me laugh. There's not like a whole lot I'm taking away from this. Like it's got kind of the very, as you mentioned, they bring in some new characters. Now he's got a daughter that he's estranged from, and so you have a very typical kind of like old man has to make up for make amends for his past wrongdoings in this kind of like legacy sequel sort of way, and everybody's gonna ride off together in the sunset by the end of it. But I think it's benefited from having our girl Taylor Page opposite Eddie Murphy. I always love seeing her in a movie, and I don't know, I think it's charming enough. There's like enough mildly humorous stuff in there that I wasn't bored. At least I wasn't angry at it, even if I can't tell you like a whole lot about it even a couple days, or I guess a couple weeks after watching it.
If you had seen it in theaters, would that have changed anything? Would it have done better?
Potentially.
How
I
so?
don't know, man. I do feel like I sometimes lock in more with the theatrical experience than I do when I'm at home. You know, I mean, I'd be lying if I said I didn't check my phone a couple times during the movie, and I definitely don't do that in the theater.
You haven't caught up on the last Bad Boys, right?
No, that's still on my list.
I feel like again they're sharing a lot of similarities to it, especially when you see that the last two Bad Boys were directed by the duo. I think they're related in some capacity. The Batgirl directors, they were
Yeah.
going to do this one, but they chose to do Batgirl. So not only do both franchises seem similar, they literally were going to pick the same duo to kind of direct both of them and reboot it. So
Right.
you would have had very similar movies. I am curious to see what it would have done in theaters because when you look at Eddie Murphy and you look at the stuff that he's done, Eddie kind of has chosen the streaming path. That's been like a huge thing that I've noticed from Dolomite. That stayed at home. You People's been at home. Even when he did the reboot to Coming to America, he is
That
in
was
his
Amazon
bag of
Prime.
his legacy
Yeah.
stuff. He has chosen streaming every single time. It seems like the animated stuff with the announcement of the Donkey movie and Shrek 5.
Yeah.
Like I don't count animation as a big leap going to theaters, but I found it interesting that, you know, if this was going to be like a Top Gun type of thing where you've waited so long to make the next one, to not maximize the potential in theaters is an interesting route. And I wonder if it's because he maybe got a better back end, just being able to go to streaming.
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
know.
those streaming
Should have
services,
risked it.
Netflix, Amazon, are cutting big checks, and I'm sure that it's, you know, plenty motivation for a guy like Eddie Murphy, who does not get up off the couch to make movies quite so often. When you
Yo.
see all those zeros and don't have to really worry about whether or not the movie does well in theaters. I mean, I'm just looking through his more recent
Candy Cane
filmography.
Lane?
Right, like, was the last movie that he had that went to theaters Mr. Church? And like, who saw Mr. Church?
Bro, that was like at the beginning of us starting YouTube. That is a while ago. So it
Mhm.
makes me wonder, like, what's the thought process there and the way that he's going about it? Haunted Mansion came back. Not that he needed to make a cameo in there, but I mean that's a reason
But he
why
didn't.
that was a movie to begin with, back
Mhm.
in the 2000s. I don't know. I'm curious to see him make the leap back because again, if you do come back to theaters and it fails, does that say more about you than secretly just taking it to streaming where you could easily get the number one movie so you
Mhm.
still get the legacy stuff of it? Like Coming to America, that was number one on Prime. Did it matter? Or was the only focus there the idea that you can get a number one movie on streaming and not have to worry about a box office failure?
Yeah, I mean, there is that safety that people like Eddie Murphy and people like Adam Sandler and others who've like cashed that Netflix check have found in streaming. But again, like, we're not seeing them making their best stuff. And I think, you know, Eddie Murphy, as I say over and over again, you know, these older comedians are like a precious resource that we had, and uh, they were making movies that I think we all remember fondly. And when we talk about the absence of like big theatrical comedies and these kind of like monocultural funny movies, it's a lot of the times it's because of people like this have abandoned the films that have gone into the movie theater. So I don't know if maybe Axel F does create a moment like that if it does get released into theaters instead of straight onto Netflix, but I do miss it at least.
Just to wrap up some of the other cast in there, Taylor Page was an interesting addition. I just did not think she was good in the movie. I love her as an actress. I am rooting
Yeah,
for her. They did not give her the best lines. The
they
direction was
didn't.
not good. It was just very weird. Joseph Gordon-Levitt was being Joseph Gordon-Levitt. It's fine.
Yeah, when did he
Helicopter
become
Pete, fine.
like brawn tough guy in movies? Like it's been the last few roles are all sort
You
of
saw him as
like,
Braun in this? I saw him as like the nerdy rule follower in this. Almost like he was
yeah,
trying to do not Taggart, but the other guy.
I guess you're
Rosewood.
right, but there's still kind of like a like rolls up his sleeve aspect to this character that I just don't associate with Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
True. What other movies has he done that?
I was thinking about most recently Looper and that other, what was the Netflix movie he did pretty recently? Project something.
I don't remember. Looper? I mean, that was a while ago. I think he's just kind of cash. He had the ability to be a star at
Project
some point,
Power.
and now he's just a side character. I don't think he adds much to the movie other than to be the straight man for Eddie
Yeah.
Murphy. And even then, I think he had better straight man with the original. And now
Hmm.
you're kind of bundling them both into one. Um, yeah, Other than that, I think
It,
if
it
you're
says something that the movie kind of feels a lot more alive by the end when you like bring Judge Reinhold back in and you bring a lot of the characters who are returning and
I
they're
feel
able to
bad for
kind of
them too. Poor
yeah, but
guys.
like they like at least you feel the echoes of the older films there.
They had one shot where they had him get on his knees. I'm like, he's not getting back up. You're gonna have to cut
Yeah.
to another scene, get him out of there. But they have a lot of parallels. If you watch the originals, they do a lot of legacy callbacks and stuff like that. But again, I don't think he's up there to what he was in the first movie. But nonetheless, Beverly Hills Cop, Axel F. Supposed to be the continuation, a reboot of other stories that they want to have out there. So I'd be curious to see where they take it. It was decent. I think if it was playing in theaters, I would have still preferred it at home. I think like a rental would be the highest I would go just because it's Eddie Murphy. Beverly Hills Cop, Axel F. Out on Netflix if you are interested.
Mm-hmm.
Another one that's out in theaters and honestly might be coming home very soon because I think it's Focus Features and they do pretty quick flips. And you're going to need it because this is confusing and maybe the best possible. Kinds of Kindness is the newest Yorgos movie because this man is making a movie after movie after movie. They said he's filming his next one already, starting production. This one was, I think, already set by the time he was gathering up all of those Academy Awards for the last one in Poor Things. He comes back with Emma Stone, who is dancing her butt off, I think, behind the scenes in Poor Things or even on screen. And now she's just doing it just to do it in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's an anthology film
Mm-hmm.
where every single story, I think there's 3, has the exact same cast playing different roles. But Jesse Plemons would be the through line as like the lead character in all 3, kind of.
Yeah,
And then Emma
although he
Stone.
plays different characters in all 3.
Yeah.
And Emma Stone's in all 3, although she's got maybe a smaller role in that first one. And does Margot appear, or Margaret Qualley appear in all 3? I feel like she and
she's the
Willem
one with
Dafoe are
like,
on all 3
yeah,
too.
she's Willem Dafoe's girl. Then she's the swinging partner in the second one.
Right,
And then in the
right.
last one, she was working with the cult.
Yeah.
Did you have a favorite one out of 3? Or were
I thought the first one was the strongest, although I liked elements of all of them. To me, the first one felt the most like it could support its own full movie. And part of that is because like I really, really love that Jesse Plemons' performance in it. He's great in all aspects of this movie, and this movie is a great showcase for him too, showing different sides of himself because he gets to play kind of the more like nebbish, nervous character that we've seen him do in some roles, and he gets to play kind of the more like tough, unfeeling guy that you might be more familiar with roles like Civil War later in the movie. But yeah, just the whole idea of control and what we're willing to do for others and what others are willing to put us through, I think was most exemplified through the mystery and absurdity of that first story.
The niceties, kind of like the
Mm-hmm.
kinds of kindness that people kind of put up with. You won.
That's always been kind of Yorgos's thing, is sort of dissecting the little societal norms that we
you
just
guys do
accept.
these weird things, right? Like he's anthropologically looking at people going like, you guys do these goofy things that as long as it's, the first one would be, because I kind of split them into 3. The first being the eagerness that he has for his boss. It's all work related.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second one, with the police authority, but more so in a relationship. It's this idea of what the couple's willing to do for each other. And then the third one was this very religious cult-like aspect to it. And I thought that was like a good framework for what he's doing for all 3 of them. I will say it is a very weird movie. So if Poor
Very
Things,
weird.
which Zach called very mainstream, and I agree with him on that, that would be a Yorgos to start with. Not this one. But I would recommend, I think I liked it a bit more than you did. I would put it as an honorable for this year because he's fantastic in it. I believe he won at Cannes for his performance. I think Emma Stone is really good in it as well, and I would have loved to see some more praise and stuff for her. I know she's coming off of the Oscar win as well, but I think the entire supporting cast does a great job with Hong Chow.
Mm-hmm.
You had mentioned Margaret Qualley. What's his name? Our boy
Willem Dafoe.
Willem Dafoe's outfits were probably the slickest in this movie. It's the high socks and everything, but they're able to build this world that I felt, as weird as it is, and Yorgos is really good at being weird. It's those little intricate moments of following someone who's willing to do whatever act is bestowed upon them just to be able to please somebody else. When watching the movie, though, I don't know if you ever have an A24 crowd. that doesn't realize they sound like an MCU crowd. We had a
Mhm.
bunch of boys laughing at stuff that they didn't find funny, but one person in the group thought it was funny, so it was like ripple laughs, kind of like someone catches an MCU Easter egg, so the rest of them are laughing.
Right.
A24 has kind of become that to a degree, they're that type of crowd, and I kind of felt it with this movie because they would laugh in waves and then not laugh
Mhm.
at the parts that were
Yeah.
actually supposed to be funny.
It's not a funny ha-ha movie. It's not a movie
Uh,
that I think you should go into expecting to like burst out into laughter. There's certainly a lot of like absurd discomfort, and I can see people sort of just like laughing out of almost like nervousness in certain moments of this movie. But yeah, it's not like a Seth Rogen movie or anything.
Yeah, it should
It
be out of nervousness, and these people were like laughing at like a saying of a line or something, like it was supposed to be a bit. Like he had just said on your left or something like that. I think that there's a lot in there that is worth rewatching if you're up for
Mhm.
it because it is 164 minutes. It's reaching the
Yeah.
3 hour mark, especially when you catch it in theaters with all the trailers. But I think the performances are top notch. I like seeing the variations of the actors playing different roles. I think that also adds a lot through the anthological part of it. So I personally would recommend it, but it's going to be a difficult recommend for everybody out there. If you are a
Yeah.
Yorgos fan, go to the theater. If you're not a Yorgos fan, wait for streaming.
Yeah, like this is definitely one of the harder to or more inscrutable Yorgos movies, one of the ones that are probably harder to love. There's a lot of really good stuff in there, but I feel like if you're not already, you don't have a predilection for his style of movie, you could probably skip this one and be fine. That said, like I love his movies. This isn't my favorite of them, but I really, really enjoyed it.
So recommended in theaters or no?
Yeah, I mean, the other thing is like I think this style of movie, which is a little bit more reserved, and the characters are handling things internally, and you kind of got to sit in that discomfort. I feel like you don't necessarily get the full experience if it's really easy to pause and go to the bathroom.
Fair. There was a girl who needed to go to the bathroom in the middle of ours, and she was sitting in the middle, recliners,
Ooh,
absolute way to fit, right? And she did one of these in the middle of it, where she looked to the left, like a periscope, and looked to the right, and she just went back, and the
assess the
second story just
situation.
kept going and going. I'm like, bro, you're gonna have to book it out of here. So at a certain
Yeah.
point, she just had to like jump over stuff. It is, you definitely feel the length, but I feel like they're training us. Everything's a 3 hour movie this
Hmm.
this time around, which was another one that came out this past weekend. You can make the trip out there as an American to go see Horizon Chapter 1 in American Saga. You don't even have to
Yeah.
anymore because it's at home. So keeping it
Mhm.
brief. If you're a fan of this man, he's making another 3 hour epic, and I didn't think it was the worst thing. Once you see it, we'll talk more about it. But I actually did not think it was the worst. But I am also a pretty big Western fan. The other big one
Yeah,
that
I'm
came out,
curious. I just got to drag my dad to the movie theater for that one because it's
Bacon, bro.
pure dad cinema, and I don't know if I'll experience it the same way without a dad with me.
I mean, I did not have my dad with me, and I still experienced it the same way. Every dad who goes to see this movie, they will stand there in the corner. I didn't think it was gonna happen to ours because it was empty. A man came in for the second hour and just like stood there to the right until he decided to get a
Arms
seat.
folded.
It is an actual epidemic that's happening out there. So
Love it.
keep Horizon on your radar. It's available at home. I actually thought it was pretty decent. I don't agree with a lot of the stuff people are saying, but we'll discuss it later. Also, with Fly Me to the Moon, the only adult rom com that's out in theaters. I feel like Hitman did hit theaters. So that
Mhm.
narrative isn't fully out there. I feel like there have been a couple of other ones. Babes did play. It was limited, but it did play. It's just one of those where it's like horror is back. And the next month, another horror is back. There's always another new horror film that fixes things, and this is the rom com that's not going to fix anything. This is going to be on Apple TV Plus in a couple of weeks. Wait for it there. But they had a little theatrical run about two of the hottest stars that we have out there having very little chemistry with each other as they try to fake the moon landing while trying to actually do the moon landing. So I'm curious to know your thoughts once you catch that one. But the one that we did catch is Sing Sing back at South by. It was one of the last movies that we caught. We wanted to make sure we secured it because they kept moving this date around, and now that it's fully out here, uh, I hope people get to catch this one because to me, this is definitely a lock for one of the best performances of the year from Coleman Domingo. The movie is Sing Sing, and I highly recommend it in theaters.
Yeah, and beyond that Coleman Domingo performance, you have just this like really stellar ensemble. There's Paul Raci, who some of us might be familiar from Sound of Metal and many of his other movies, but just all the actors that they assemble, including several who are graduates of this program, this prison theatrical program that is sort of showcased in the movie, just helps bring an authenticity and realness to the whole procedure, to the whole story. It just feels really raw and really real. Again, we covered it out of South by. We've got a whole long review on the channel, which I will put in the description to this episode. But absolutely worth checking out, especially because there's a good chance you're going to see a lot more of Coleman Domingo as we get into award season this year.
We always talk like halfway through, would he still have a chance? And I think right now at the midway point, I'm still confident. But we got a slew of stuff coming later. And I would be surprised if he doesn't remain in the top 5. Maybe the movie won't remain for like a best picture.
Right.
But his performance, I'm still locking it in for me.
Yeah, we were talking about TIFF, the Toronto International Film Festival, right before we started this live stream, and there's a whole bunch of movies set for that festival and the other fall festivals. So we'll have to reconvene and collect our thoughts on who the top 5 are after that. But I, like you, can't imagine Coleman won't be among them.
Off of your anticipated, you got anybody?
Geez, I mean, the trailer for Conclave just dropped. I don't know if you ended up catching that one.
Who's that?
But that's Edward Berger's follow-up to All Quiet on the Western Front with Ralph Fiennes, I believe, in the lead role. I mean, my man.
It's Rafe. Yeah, it's Rafe.
When Ray shows up, he can show up.
That's true. It's true. I was having really high hopes for the Andrew Garfield Pew, right?
Oh yeah, that the one from the Brooklyn director. The name I'm forgetting which right now.
The trailer looks like it's gonna be pretty cute, but not like
not an Oscar contender. Yeah,
nah. Especially because we just saw his last one at South by, and we're like, oh yeah, that was definitely more in the cute realm. It looks like it's a little bit more on the prestige side than that one, but not to the side that like Brooklyn had its run with the Oscars and such. So
We Live in Time is the name of that movie, by the way.
We Live in Time. But yeah, let's move on to our little TV pilot previews. We are midway through this next one here, and it has been firing on all cylinders, in my opinion. House of the Dragon Season 2 is just as good as Season 1, in my opinion.
In some ways, it's maybe even better because Season 1 did so much setting up of the characters, and now we're fully in it. Now the war has begun, and look, I'm not really like a dude who's showing up for the dragons, but they're unleashing them, and there's big consequences to it too. And we've seen in particularly the last couple of episodes, just
episode 4,
the willingness that this show and Thrones before it, things in this universe, have to take these like bold swings with big characters and people who you may assume should be safe or will get multi-season arcs are showing up for a lot less time than we expected. But I think that is one of the things that really made Game of Thrones so special, is that they would unexpectedly deal you a huge shocking twist, maybe not shocking to book readers, but shocking to you and me. And I think they've managed to continue that in a way that also does a really good job of illustrating all the aspects of this conflict, right? Because it's not just about the fight between these royal families, but it's about the messages it sends down the line to the common folk. And when you wheel a severed dragon's head through town, it shows regular people that the things they thought were gods are mortal. And I don't know, all that stuff is really fascinating. I think it's firing on Thronesian, early Thrones levels right now for me, House of the Dragon.
No, it's good. I always count on them to never have a bad season 2. They're not Showtime. They're not Stars. They are firing on all cylinders. And it's always the most random episodes, right? You think, oh, the penultimate one, episode 10, the pilot. No, it'll be the most random. What would be filler to any other series? They go all out. Are you Team Green? You Team Black?
I think I'm Team Black.
Team Black all the way.
I find, I mean, I think my favorite actors on the show are on Team Black. So I'm also just on team like tell me a good story, whatever it is.
And Team Black would technically have most of it. I've been easily Team Black. I find the adversary of the High Towers, High Garden. What? There's so many high whatevers in there. Team Green to be fascinating, right? Because of not just Allison, and I think her performance has been crushing it. Why am I blinking her name? From Bates Motel, Meet Earl and the Dying Girl.
Olivia
Cook. She is fantastic in it. Her boy toy in Sir Cole has been the exact type of frustrating character that a hit TV weekly by weekly episodic series needs.
Yeah. He's
Yeah.
this show's Skylar White.
Fantastic. On it, that's a great point. That is exactly what he is. But then you got Team Black, and just the characters of Damon, and especially what they're doing with him this season is fantastic, because you would think they're going a boring route, but they've left him to be the psychological one, the dude who's all brawn and bloody and fire. And he's having like these trippy moments dealing with his guilt in the last couple of episodes that I thought were going to end up being really boring. And it has been some of the most fascinating stuff with the way they tell it too, because they're bringing back some elements from season one that I was hoping to see again. So just really, really good stuff all around. It's one of those where if you have not seen Thrones, you're still good to just start with the last season. And if you have seen Thrones, people have been cutting up some stuff from the original series because it takes place in the future. And like, even with some of it being spoilers, because characters in the original series talk about this, because it's their legend, it just adds
their
to
history.
It's just beautiful in every way, shape, or form. And I love how my man's just stopped writing the book at this point. Or I think, as we've discussed, he wrote it. He's just leaving it there in the back burner. He is so dedicated to making sure the shows are doing what needs to be done. And it feels like he has a little bit more pull of House of the Dragon. And I hope he keeps it that way, because so far it's been fantastic. They've already got other spin-offs ready to go with the Duncan Egg. They said that boy that we saw from the Starks is not coming back here. He's going to get his own series. I'm locked in. I'm tuned in every Sunday. That's how you know it's a good show. Huge combo, must watch label for this one. House of the Dragon over on Max.
If they keep doing spin-offs, are you going to be okay with them using the same theme song for all of these shows, or is House of the Dragon it? Like, you do it once, but then we got to get some new themes in there.
You know the answer to that, bro. Stop. Star Wars got the same theme. 007, Mission Impossible. This is that. I'm okay. Y'all can remix it. Have a little OST or something where people do different stuff with it. Sure.
Maybe they do the White Lotus thing where it's like a slight flip.
Maybe, but you know what they've changed already with it is every episode adding a different texture, a different thing to the story that they've been weaving in, showing you at every intro. Don't skip it, because we do have people changing it up every single one. That's cool to me. So you keep the theme. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But I like that they've been adding something new to the intro, because it kind of tells a story. Overall, just fantastic stuff there. House of the Dragon, highly recommend, which is why we got to give you the flip side of it. Sausage Party Foodtopia, an 8-episode event series.
Yeah.
They do a season 2 for this. I don't even know what to tell you, but it is out on Prime. And all I'm going to say from that animation is, boy, did they save money. How far did you get into this one?
I gave it 3, which is maybe 3 more
3
than
minutes?
I should have given it. Look, I remember enjoying the Sausage Party movie. I don't think it's like a particularly bold piece of filmmaking or cogent piece of art, but it's silly. It's got a lot of food puns. There's a lot of vulgar humor, and some of it worked. I don't know. For what it was doing, I think it served its purpose. This, I don't know what purpose it's trying to serve or fill. It's all the most like base level jokes you can imagine, just taking this whole idea and just smashing it to the ground, like stomping all over it. I don't know. It's chock full of food puns. That's the biggest sell here, and jokes about food, having sex with other food, and maybe 1 out of 20 jokes works, but it's awfully cringy.
This is that element where just because one joke is funny, the other 4 that miss can ruin that joke, because that's the taste that ends up in your mouth. And you're like, bro, what's happening here? They've gotten criticism on Prime for what the animation was on the new Invincible series. Y'all are not skipping the allegations with this one. This looks like it's still being rendered. This looks atrocious. There was one point where they're walking across the screen, and I thought it was the old animations you see in the drive-ins while you're waiting for the concessions in the next movie to start. It is horrendous when it comes to that. And yet they got the entire voice cast. You see that?
I mean, just about, right? Like, I don't know if
Insane.
Nick. I think Nick Kroll abandoned this show, which, you know, he's not doing a whole lot better with his animation right now. But they got, you know, the big hitters. I don't. I'm surprised Kristen Wiig and Michael Cera are here. Edward Norton.
Yeah, all
What
8
is
episodes
Edward
of
Norton
Sammy. Like,
doing
I don't
so
get
late
it,
on the
bro.
show?
Yeah, a little wrong, bro. They let Sammy live, but his partner died. I don't like what that says in the context of things today. But you know, the other
Yeah.
part of it is that Seth Rogen isn't just working on this show on Prime. He also works on another Prime show that's super vulgar and full of sex. And I think that's where I'm like, bro, it's the same joke again. Be it on The Boys, where it's sex, 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 sex. This man's now, he can't even deal with vegetables without it being sex, 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 sex. I'm at the point where I'm starting to think that super bad scene about drawing the dicks, yeah, it's a biography. It's a little too much for me.
Based in
I,
truth. Yeah.
I think
I don't
he's
know. I mean, like,
overstayed the joke.
yeah, look, I think there is a place for vulgar humor and for like really adolescent jokes. Um, but you have to mix it with a little bit of novel feeling, like something has to feel different. And
Which the movie kind of
doing,
had.
yeah, which the movie had, right? Like taking it is essentially like a Pixar movie with curse words in it. Is the
Yeah.
whole animating presence behind it.
I'll say DreamWorks,
But
but
we've
yeah, I
seen
got you.
that. You got to do something new, or you're just kind of telling the same boring jokes.
Yeah, they should just stayed in the store, left it there. But Sausage Party, Foodtopia, like Zach said, 1 in every 20 jokes will hit, and they're pretty quick, I guess. So there is that. 8 episodes up on Prime if you're
Yeah.
interested. I would instead recommend our final pilot review that we have here, and that's for Sunny. It's going to have 10 episodes. I believe it's going to be an ongoing series. It's pitched as a comedy drama in where our main character, Rashida Jones, is kind of reeling after a tragedy that has happened, but you can't fully call it a tragedy because they haven't been able to find the people who went
Mm,
missing from this
mm.
tragedy. But it is her close family members. But this is a world where there's robots. It kind of feels like the robots from Her. I think that's the closest that I
Yeah.
can explain this world. And she gets gifted a robot, but there might be some extra baggage or memory that haven't been revealed yet. We caught the first 2 episodes, at least I did, and it's
Yep.
intrigued me enough. Hasn't like won me completely over. I feel like it may lose its footing, but the first 2 episodes are decent.
Yeah, they build a pretty interesting world, and I like the tone of it. Rashida Jones is fun in this sort of like wry, detached delivery that she's giving. You know,
Yeah.
she feels very like emotionally muted and sort of at a loss in her life because she's experienced this big traumatic event and kind of is floating through things, but matching that up with the ever helpful presence of her personal assistant robot and just the sort of like intrigue and mystery of this world, it does a really good job at just sort of giving you these little like crumbs to follow along with. Well, like, that's weird, and what's going on with this, and just creating the whole like crime for her to kind of try and figure out. I think it's a pretty cool setup. Like you, I'm not completely sold on it, but it's intrigued me enough that I'm gonna see where they're taking it. Um, I was also pretty, uh, I was also pretty interested to see the guy who's playing her husband. Did you catch who's playing that role?
No, what about him?
Because he looked familiar to me, and I couldn't place it. And it's my man from Drive My Car.
Oh, that is right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Alina
Hidetoshi
told me that.
Nishijima.
Yeah, I was like, he looks familiar. And she's like, is it not Drive My Car guy? Because we also
Yeah.
saw, what was it? We saw the guy from Perfect Days in Cure. And I was like, why
Oh,
do these
right.
gentlemen look familiar? I'm like, damn. So just catching up on a lot of that stuff. Yeah, he does a good job in it too, because as you were mentioning, he's in the flashback scenes. So you look
Mhm.
at the flashback scenes with him and Rashida, and that's what really causes Rashida to stand out in the present. Because when you see how she's supposed to look like before the trauma, bro, the
Mhm.
bags they added to her, just the way she's speaking like she's on her last breath. I think they've built out a pretty decent world with it. So
Yeah, and
I
it's
would
also this
recommend it.
interesting lost in translation element kind of going on because she is living in Japan but is
Mhm.
not a Japanese speaker, so she's sort of out of misaligned with the people around her, and then more reliant also on this like automated help from the robot. It's a cool idea. I'm hopeful for
decent.
where it's going to go.
Apple TV Plus has a slew of shows that are going to be coming up, so we'll have more pilots for next week. I know there's that new Natalie Portman, we call her Nat, show that's out. That one seems pretty good as well. I think I saw the pilot last night for that one. And they're just going to keep them coming along with the movies that we mentioned here. They're going to end up being on Apple TV Plus. So as Zach has put it, Apple TV Plus, the new Max, HBO, I should say, not Max, but HBO.
There we go, yeah.
That's out there. You saw the bit with HBO also taking back Penguin. I don't even know why they were even contemplating that not being HBO.
Yeah. Well, they were trying for a while to distinguish the difference between what is an HBO original and what is a Max original to sort of
you have it there.
preserve the brand identity or whatever. And then they're like, wait a second, people really like when we call things HBO originals.
Yeah, that's like your banner of prestige stuff. But anyway,
that's you see that Warner Brothers Discovery is considering splitting into Warner Brothers and Discovery.
They're so dumb. They're so dumb.
Good thing Zaslav's getting a 9-figures check.
Well, Zaslav also had probably the least amount of Emmy nominations this year as we get into the 2024 nominees, and it says winners here, but ain't nobody won yet. Let's break it down. What do you have? What are your yays or nays when it comes to the new slew of nominees? Which again, I believe the breakdown is this May, but technically it goes from before last May because of the strikes. So there's this little weird loophole. So when you see some of these, they're not the most recent season. Sometimes it's the last one.
So the strikes pushed last year's Emmy award show to January, but they didn't push the Emmy deadline. So it still is the normal June to May sort of like half and half of the calendar year thing that they do. So that's why, we're still talking about season 2 of The Bear and season 2 of Hacks rather than the most recent season, or maybe it is the most recent season of Hacks actually. But point being, I think there's a lot of interesting nominees. There's definitely some stuff that I didn't love. The big leader in nominations was Shogun with 25, which I still haven't caught up with, but I take that you're a fan of.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, working on it.
I wish, bro. I hope that one upsets for sure. I'm happy that it's got that record already too. So
yeah, I mean, I feel like it's the front runner in the drama category right now with no more Succession around to take it.
Well, let's break it down. Let's start with the comedy over here because like you're telling me this would be this year's Abbott.
Yeah, I think it's season 3 of Abbott.
I also took a break. I don't even know. What we have here, if you tell me that this is season 2 of The Bear, then we're moving on to the next category.
Yeah, well, I mean, beyond that, The Bear, we should mention, broke 30 Rock's record for most nominations for a comedy series with 23. 30 Rock had 22 about 20 years ago. So The Bear is obviously the front runner heading into the Emmy ceremony, and it's going to be the front runner in not just this category, but I think most categories in which it's nominated.
What would be your runner-up?
I'd love to see What We Do in the Shadows get a little bit of love. But Hacks also, because Hacks did pretty well too. Hacks picked up 17 nominations. It was one of the most nominated shows, the second most nominated comedy.
I would like to see a Curb win for its final season of some sort.
Right.
It doesn't have to be the big one, but I did think it was a really good season of television.
That'd be great.
I guess the way this keeps it is just to comedy. So let's get the comedy out of the way, and then we'll talk about why Shogun's going to win it. What do you got right here for outstanding lead actor? Shout out to Pharaoh for getting a little nom right there on its final season.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a cool thing for Reservation Dogs, which broke through not just in lead actor, but as we mentioned before, in best comedy series with its final season, which is really exciting. But I think the thing that I'm most excited about was Matt Berry getting a nomination, becoming the first actor from the What We Do in the Shadows cast to get that.
I'm not sure if it cut off.
There we go. I'm back. I think I'm back now. Anyway, he's so funny on that show. Just like even imagining him deliver the line "most outstanding lead actor" is enough that I think it would make me laugh. I mean, I really like him. of course, you know, you always got Larry David there, and I like the Only Murders in the Building duo, but like, let's be real, this is Jeremy Allen White's A War to Lose.
Season 2? Yeah, especially that. I keep forgetting that it was like I saw him win for season 2 at the Globes, at all of the other shows that have kind
Yeah.
of prepped for that. Yeah. Lead actress, you got Quinta going up against Ayo, going up against Selena, Maya Rudolph, Jean Smart, and Kristen Wiig.
Yeah.
This
Was
is
a little
the
bit
season
surprised.
that Ayo's been
Go
getting
ahead.
it for, though. This is a season Ayo's been getting it for at the other awards, so how would it not happen here? She never got it
Yeah,
for 1. She's been getting it for 2.
exactly. She also was supporting actress before, and she bumped up to lead for the second season. So
Oh.
I think Quinta's sort of reign over this category is under attack. Yeah, I think this is
Dang.
Io's to lose. This is also Selena Gomez's first Emmy nomination, I believe, in this category.
Really?
Um, yeah, the one I was surprised by the most is probably Kristen Wiig in Palm Royale. Not because Kristen Wiig isn't great and always a contender when she's in a show, just because that show didn't really work for me, and I don't think it worked for most people who saw it.
He even got a nomination for comedy.
Yeah, Palm Royale did better than I think most people were anticipating, because
That Apple
it didn't
money.
get a
You
whole
got
lot
Loot
of
right there
buzz.
too. 'Cause Apple knows how to get it in there.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be
yeah,
honest.
which just got renewed for a third season on Loot.
My dark horse is Jean Smart. If we're going off of season 3, I thought she did an excellent job in handling a lot of what her character has to go through. There's like cancellations that happen in that show.
Yeah.
There's a particular scene in season 3 where she has to meet her idols and she realizes how different they are from her. I thought she did some really good
Yeah.
acting stuff in that
This
season.
That also might be a good place to talk about the lack of Emma Stone, as well as any nominations for The Curse, one of my
And it
favorite
fits this
shows
year,
from the
right?
past year. Yeah, it
Really?
does fit this
Well, that would
Emmys
be
window.
limited.
I mean,
That'd be limited. But I agree with you. I didn't even think about that.
yeah, I mean, whether it's comedy or limited that it's running in, yeah, it's just not there at all. The Emmys showed it no love.
Sheesh. Remind me when we get
Which,
to
like,
limited because it was 1 season, so
sure.
it should be like the TV miniseries. Ew.
Mhm.
No, bro, wait till you see what's actually nominated then. That's pretty bad.
Yeah.
All right, comedy actor. Since we're talking about season 2, I mean, that was the
Mhm.
one where Marcus gets its own episode. I believe that's the one Rami Youssef directed, and he also got a nomination for that episode where
Mhm.
they go to I'm blanking on it. Oslo? Where do they go?
Copenhagen, I believe.
Yes. One of the
Yeah.
best episodes in my opinion, so I'm happy he got the nom.
Happy he got the nom. He's not going to be Eben, especially for
No.
the season where Forks got nominated.
No.
Um,
Yeah.
I was also happy to see Paul Downs getting a nomination here. Speaking of hacks,
Very good in that. There's a sequence in season 3 also for them, right? Where he's now on his own and he's got to go convince Helen Hunt. I love that entire episode. I thought him and his side story with I'm blanking on her name, Cora Bora. It was the
Meg
best that they've
Stalter,
been
yeah.
so far. Best that they've
Mhm,
been so far.
mhm.
But sadly, yeah, no one's beating Evan Moss because his Forks episode is one of the standout ones.
Yeah.
But Bowen Yang, bro, is if they just carved out a bit for Bowen Yang to play whatever on Saturday Night Live and he comes in here because he is not the funniest Saturday Night Live actor.
There's a weird thing that's been happening for the past, I want to say, like decade or so with the Emmys, where they always choose like one person from the Saturday Night Live cast to nominate. And for a while, it was Kristen Wiig. I think Kate McKinnon got a couple nominations there. But yeah,
It's been
it just
him
seems like
now.
Bowen is their person for whatever reason. And I think Bowen Yang is very funny on SNL. I don't know if I would
He's not
pick Bowen
the
as
funniest.
like or the best actor, supposedly. Like,
That
I feel like
too.
yeah.
I also think it's weird to put him in the comedy when the show itself is in a completely different category.
Is in variety. Yeah.
There you go. Let's see what we got. Supporting actress.
Yeah. So speaking of the Bear, Lisa Colon Zayas broke through here, and this is again season 2. So maybe she'll have a good shot when Napkins is nominated eventually next year. I don't really think she's got that much of a shot in this category. I would anticipate it goes to one of the 2 Abbott Elementary women, but I could also see them splitting the vote and this going to Hannah Einbender for Hacks.
I like Hannah, really good season for her as well, but I would like it to go to Cheryl Lee Ralph. But honestly, anybody who wins just to top Meryl Streep is funny. That's just funny to have. Just the idea that they're gonna have to mention that in their speech of having beaten her. But pretty solid lineup right there. And then we get to the guest actors, because that's the one thing that the Emmys like to add. Just somebody who kind of is like a role player, as we break down on the Intercut Awards. John Bernthal for The Bear, again, coming in a couple of flashes throughout the season. Matthew Broderick for Only Murders. I don't know if you liked him in that.
Funny. He is good.
Ryan Gosling for Saturday Night Live actually makes more sense if we're going to have to include people into anything. I feel like I don't believe it being a part of the comedy, but a role player feels like the appropriate thing. Although, isn't there a host award? That's a host award.
I think, yeah, I mean, it's, I guess hosting an award show is a little bit different from hosting SNL. And
no, it's not.
It's I mean, it's like a 3-hour thing where you're not doing that much sketch performance versus the. I don't know if it really belongs in guest actor either, but it's the weirdness of TV.
Better than Bowen though. Christopher Lloyd in Hacks was pretty good for the one episode that he's in. I really like that one as the old screenwriter who's trying to make his thing out there. Bob Odenkirk, I think, is just in the flashback for Fishes. No.
Yep. Just that one episode.
Would you have him over John Bernthal? Or are you going to go full piece with Will Poulter? I just love the dichotomy of the most like chillest actor and the ones egging everyone on being nominated.
Honestly, from this collection, I might go Ryan Gosling. I feel like he did the best.
Really?
Yeah, it would be crazy to see Bob Odenkirk win after getting blanked for all those years of Better Call Saul.
That would be disrespectful.
Yeah, I think it goes John Bernthal in the end.
I would love it for it to go to John. I'm going Ryan Gosling in a later category. So moving it out, I think the last one we should have here is Outstanding Guest Actress in a Comedy Series. And we have Olivia Colman in The Bear. Fantastic. Jamie Lee Curtis in The Bear. Also pretty good. I think she has a little bit more than just a role appearance, but okay. Caitlin Olsen from Hacks. Divine Joy. Caitlin Olsen does not count as a guest role either, in my opinion. Divine, you would let me know.
I mean, she's not technically on every episode. Right.
But she's too big.
I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe for season 2, not season 3. Season 3, she has maybe a more prominent part.
I feel like she's in there as much as like Marcus.
Yeah, but Marcus, they underserved too on that show.
That's what I'm saying. But one gets a different award. Who we got?
I would go with Caitlin Olsen among this category, but it's going to be Jamie Lee Curtis, and I almost feel like it's not even a question. That's the kind of performance that award shows eat up.
Yeah, you're right. Outstanding directing for a comedy series. Like I said,
there's that Randy Youssef nomination you mentioned.
Yeah, but it's going to go to Fishes because this is the one Christopher Storer did, and it's the standout one for sure.
Yeah,
then writing. What's up?
No, I mean, the writing category is interesting because our beloved The Other Two did crack it, thankfully. One nomination there, but that's a pretty great collection of comedies. I think that's actually the best comedies right now, with Girls 5 Eva sneaking in there.
That is true, right? And they let you know through the writing. Damn. And then drama series. So we get to it.
Yeah.
Three Body Problem, Fallout, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Shogun, Slow Horses, The Crown, Gilded, and The Morning Show. I will be saying everything I need to say about The Morning Show right now as we go through the slew of nominations. Who is watching the show? That's all I got to say.
No.
Shogun. That's the one. That's the one. Yeah, I'm a little worried against The Crown because it's The Crown.
Yeah, but it's the final season of The Crown, which most people thought was pretty garbage. I think the biggest contender here versus Shogun is actually Fallout. Fallout is a pretty popular show. I don't know if it has the prestige respect that Shogun has.
My thing.
But
that's my thing. I don't have a problem with it winning, but I feel like it's got the popularity vote, so it gets the nominations, but they won't dare to have it win. But if it did, that'd be pretty surprising. Fallout also has a lot more, I think. I know Shogun extended as well because Shogun was supposed to be a miniseries. You can still catch it on Letterboxd. But it's just a better show, bro. I think just everything about it, the way it's made.
Yeah.
The one big one I do need to catch up on is Mr. and Mrs. Smith, though.
I'm really glad that snuck in there. And not only Mr. and Mrs. Smith, we'll get to it, but both Donald Glover and Maya Erskine nominations too.
Like they had the whole team come in. I'm going with Shogun for the show. And I think I'm going for it in lead actor as well. Second to Walton for Fallout.
Yeah, Yeah, I feel like it's the same thing here, where either Walton or Hiroyuki Sanada probably is taking this category. There is a lot of love for Gary Oldman on Slow Horses, though. I would not be shocked if he
Good for
ultimately took it.
good for them. Shout out Slow
Yeah.
Horses crew. Maybe
And
I
a
could see
surprise
that.
seeing Idris Elba there for Hijack too. I kind of enjoyed Hijack.
Wow. Best performance?
I mean, he's playing Idris Elba, but he's
Is
good
it
at
getting a
playing Idris
season
Elba.
2?
That's a great
'Cause
question. I think
right, because it's not unlimited.
yeah.
Well, there you go. Surprise, you're getting a season 2. He
I
gets
guess so.
hijacked again. Outstanding lead actress, though. Again, you got 2 morning show. You got Maya
Mhm.
for Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Carrie Coon is one of the reasons I need to start the Gilded Age, because I know it's that point where it's like right before we get into the.
Yeah.
I think you're leaving medieval times into more of a technological era. It's gotten a lot of buzz off of HBO, but honestly, I'm gonna double it up and go Shogun again here for Anna Sawai. I thought she gave a great performance, and then hearing the behind the scenes for how she needed to learn Japanese, but from feudal Japan, so a lot of the words were different.
Right.
That just shows me that she put even more work into it, and it is an incredible performance as well. So I'm locking that in, but I haven't seen Carrie Coon in Gilded Age, and that's my girl right there. Carrie Coon is never goes wrong. Would you root for Maya?
Yeah, I mean, she's the only one of these I've actually seen, so I guess so. I
What's the
like her a
crown
lot.
coming? Next would be Outstanding Supporting Actor in a Drama Series. Got a couple. Well, see, one from Shogun.
Yeah.
Way too many from the
Three
morning
from
show.
the morning show. Yeah.
Way too many from the morning show. So I'm gonna lock this in with nobody from the morning show. That's my lock.
Yeah. So the morning show scored 7 different supporting actor nominations between the 3 in this category and the 4 in the category you're about to get to.
But doesn't that tell you everything you need to know? That they have mopped the acting categories, these above the line stuff, got way too many, and still couldn't beat Shogun for the most nominations because technically nothing.
Yeah.
That tells you how the competing is.
The morning show is basically a money laundering scheme for Emmy nominations at this point.
And that's a fact. Outstanding Supporting Actress in a Drama Series.
4 people from the morning show. And granted, I like all 4 of these people, but
this is how I found out
God
that Hari was in it.
I think this is how I found out Holland Taylor's in it.
It's insane, dude. I'm going Elizabeth Debicki, The Crown.
Yeah, let's do that.
Alrighty, and now we get into the guest actors, starting with the males. Nestor for Shogun, Paul Dano for Mr. and Mrs. I didn't even know he was in that. Tracy Letts for Winning Time, which I did not realize still counts for this last year. Jonathan Pryce, Slow Horses, and John Turturro, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. I guess I'd root for Nestor from the Lost Days, but if you see more of Mr. and Mrs. Smith, would you have one of these two? Either of them?
I mean, I like John Turturro on it. I honestly really like that Tracy Letts performance from Winning Time. That's the one that stood out to me among these.
All right, I'm gonna go Winning Time too then, because that show never got any love, and now we're stuck with Clipped. Have you seen any of Clipped?
No, and I hear I'm better off for it.
Don't watch Clipped. Guest actress in a drama series, Michaela Cole, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Oh, good for her. Claire Foy, The Crown. They got her as guest actress. How'd that happen?
She's not on a lot of this season. They aged him up.
That's crazy. Marcia Gay Harden in the morning show, another one, and then a duo from Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Sarah Paulson and Parker Posey. Bro, they're in the show. That's crazy.
Yeah,
I gotta watch the
Parker
show.
Posey's really good on it. All of them are good on it. I would go for a Mr. and Mrs. Smith one here.
I'm gonna go Sarah Paulson because Sarah Paulson. Well, also Michaela Cole. I gotta catch up on that one. Category as we get to the technical stuff over here, we got directing for a drama.
Any stand out to you? I feel like I personally would go with Hiro Murai, our guy from Mr. and Mrs. Smith, but again, I haven't seen Shogun.
Yeah, if I had I believe it's the pilot for Shogun, but if I had a root for a person, Hiro. Has Hiro won one?
Yeah.
How's he not?
That's a great question.
Yes,
I don't think he has.
He must have, bro.
Maybe for Atlanta? Maybe?
That's what I'm saying. He has to have had something.
Yeah.
Outstanding writing for a drama. Fallout, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. You got the double on Shogun here. I'm hoping it goes to Shogun. I think the writing in Shogun, especially the way that they're just mixing in between languages, profound. Like even if it was in one language, it deserves the award.
Yeah.
But I would love a copy of one of those scripts. And then we get to the big one here. So right off the bat, who are you knocking out as soon as I finish saying these to replace with the curse? Baby Reindeer, Fargo, Lessons in Chemistry, Ripley, True Detective Night Country.
I mean, I think you know which one. You mumbled it, Lessons in Chemistry, but I also thought people didn't really enjoy the season of True Detective that much.
They didn't, but people were mixed. It was one of those where it's like there's enough people. There was enough people.
Yeah, and look, Emmy voters liked it. They gave it 19 nominations.
I don't get that one, bro.
Yeah,
some of the acting ones I'm okay with, but yeah, I feel like it's Baby Reindeers to lose because of all of the hype that it's been getting. I feel like it is slated to go all the way. Although this season of Fargo, incredible, bro. I'm rooting for a lot of the actors that we're going to see in a little bit. But I would also not mind Ripley winning. Ripley deserves every single award it gets.
The one I'm going with. Yeah.
If Ripley were to beat Fargo, which I think I like more than Ripley, I'd be fine with it. I'd be fine with it beating Baby Reindeer. And obviously the other two. But I feel like it's an uphill battle for it. And I think Baby Reindeer's got the most traction going for it, especially with all the other nominations it got. But dude, you need to catch that new season of Fargo. It's really good. Really good.
I love the first 2 episodes of it, so I got to get back into that world.
So our personal picks: Fargo. You got Ripley.
Mm-hmm.
Probably gonna
go Baby Reindeer.
Probably gonna go there, but justice for the curse, bro. Must be really cursed.
Yeah.
Must have hit something. Not even an accident award.
Right?
Not even a technical.
Not even
nothing.
Cinematography.
The cinematography.
The last episode.
Okay. Outstanding television movie. Mr. Monk's Last Case.
Normally a pretty shoddy category, and this year
I don't
do a
get
whole
the
lot
point
to
of this.
spell that.
Quiz Lady. I thought this came out 2 years ago, but Red, White, and Royal Blue getting a sequel. Scoop and Unfrosted. That would be enough for me to not show up to the ceremony if I was nominated against Unfrosted. But I mean, this is pretty easy for me. Quiz Lady.
Yeah, I go with Quiz Lady here too.
But I'm sure the Red, White, and Royal Blue fan base would appreciate one. Outstanding lead actor now. Matt Bomer and Fellow Travelers. This premiered at TIFF last year. I don't think we ever had the chance to see it. It's a miniseries out on whatever, I don't know, something we don't have. Baby Reindeer, I think, again, he's getting a lot of traction. John Hamm in Fargo, though, is excellent. I told y'all during the TV halfway that there's a show called Feud, Capote versus the Swans. Y'all looked at me sideways. I'm here to tell you the Emmy Award nominated Feud, Capote versus the Swans is also maybe a contender, bro. Tom Hollander does a really good job as Capote. Because you're not just having to do Capote. We've seen Capote done by the one and only Philip Seymour Hoffman. So I think he gives a pretty good performance for that. And then obviously Andrew Scott and Ripley.
Yeah, Andrew Scott for me by a mile in this category.
By half a kilometer, I'm going John Hamm.
All right.
Actress in a limited.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Oh, what do you got?
I mean, the little that I saw of Juno Temple in Fargo, I feel like it should be Juno's. But
Juno's. Yeah, I'm going Juno as well, bro. Easily the standout. Let's see. Outstanding supporting actor in a limited or anthology series. I feel like you're going sympathizer here. You've been a big sympathizer fan.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if Robert Downey Jr. is my favorite part of that show, but I haven't seen a lot of these other ones. So,
I thought John Hawkes was decent, True Detective. I thought he was one of the better parts of the series. Nice. So maybe him.
Cool.
And then outstanding supporting actress in a limited series from Dakota in Ripley, Lily Gladstone. Ooh, Lily Gladstone. I'm gonna say she got some traction coming into this.
Yeah.
Although
I was
about to say the Baby Reindeer. Well, yeah, she effectively got that down. She's so good. There's lawsuits.
Worth pointing out, Lily Gladstone and Callie Royce in this category. They were both nominated and became the first 2 Indigenous women ever nominated for an Emmy.
Okay. I think they had said the same thing for Griselda as well, about that being one of the first noms Sophia was able to pick up there.
Nice.
But we'll see. All that matters is that win, though. Outstanding directing. Anyone sign up for you?
I mean, to me, it's got to be Steve's Alien for Ripley. That show is unbelievably well directed.
I can see that one. Again, I feel like Baby Reindeer might sneak in there a little bit. The next one is writing as well. Black Mirror, and I was about to say picture not available. Fellow Travelers are able to sneak into this one as well. Fargo, bro. I'm sorry, but it's Fargo.
All right, I'll ride with that.
And then we can go through these really quickly over here. You get into the reality TV shows. You get the outstanding host for a game show. So I mean, sorry, I was gonna say rest in peace, Paul, but he's just retiring.
Yeah. So the last little bit of Emmys info that I'll talk about is Netflix ended up leading the nominations yet again. They had 107 this year, with shows like The Crown getting 18, Ripley getting 13, Baby Reindeer getting 11. But interestingly, FX actually beat HBO/Max, which normally HBO is either number 1 or number 2. But this year, FX had 93 nominations compared to HBO's 91. It's the most nominations FX has ever had. They had 56 nominations in 2016. That was their most before this year, getting Shogun and getting Reservation Dogs and getting What We Do in the Shadows and getting a whole bunch of stuff to the Emmys. They also in fourth was Apple TV Plus with 72, then both NBC and CBS, who had 38 each. So they beat Prime Video. Disney Plus only had 19. Hulu, if you don't count the FX stuff, only had 26. But if you do put all the Walt Disney Company stuff together, they had 183 nominations across their different platforms.
Interesting. Yeah. All right. Any other last minute thoughts before we wrap up for our Emmy noms?
Not really. Are you rooting for X-Men 97 in animated or Scavenger's Reign?
It's not. This is the first time I'm seeing the animated list, and Blue Eye Samurai was not bad. X-Men is standout. Bob's never has a bad one, and Scavengers was getting a lot of love too, over on Max.
Yeah,
Probably the only one, as I'm skimming here towards the end, was the idea of moving John Oliver. I feel like he was not in the category that they're now putting him in against SNL. But we'll see how that goes. Do we know the date for this?
They think they're usually in August. So they are. Oh, July 17th. Wait, no, that can't be right. That's the Emmy nominations. Sunday, September 15th. So right on the heels of Toronto.
I think you broke out there. Yeah, right in the fall. Back to its
September
regularly
15th.
Scheduled programming. But that is all the stuff for the Emmy nominations. We got one more piece of news, and then we'll be wrapping it up to give a shout out to Intercutie patrons.
Definitely. Well, we want to keep y'all updated about the latest with Sundance Film Festival as they search for a potential new home. Sundance has unveiled a short list of 6 different cities that could host the 2027 festival. They are Park City / Salt Lake City, where they've always been. They could go to Atlanta, Georgia, Cincinnati, Ohio, Boulder, Colorado, Louisville, Kentucky, and Santa Fe, New Mexico. I think we've talked about a couple of these cities before on the show, but now that you have the short list, what are you hoping is the future home of the Sundance Film Festival? Sorry, no love to Chicago on this list.
No, it's fine. It was never going to happen here. Definitely don't want Atlanta. Cincinnati's right next door, I guess. Louisville. I guess those states are interesting only because of the fact that we spend so much time at the theater that going to a place that's a destination just to never do any destination stuff is not really the MO for me. I feel like they're going to end up keeping it in Salt Lake. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I kind of feel like that's what's ultimately going to happen too. It's such a bold choice to like pull it out of its historical home. And if they're, shortlisting it, that is maybe saying something. That all being said, I got my fingers crossed for Boulder, Colorado. I think Colorado's a cool state. It cool. Stays
Boulder's not
mountainy. Bad. Yeah.
It'll give you a lot more options.
Or just completely go the other way and do Santa Fe. Let's go from the snow to the sand.
You know what would be cool? Don't even have a place, bro. Just digital nomads the entire entire way. Cincinnati would be the most ridiculous place to have it, and I can't even the most prestige place in cinema. Cincinnati. No offense to the Cincinnatians over there.
Ohio. Yeah. It does not feel
Oh.
like the glamorous home for a film festival.
Yeah, but that is our movie reviews, our TV pilot previews, and our news breakdown for this week.
Yeah.
It's time for the most important part of the show. And it's time to give a shout out to the Intercutie patrons.
Let's do it. Let's thank those wonderful people who continue to support the show, the Intercuties. They are starting from the Academy tier: Tushar, Cademan, Connor, Josh, May, Ricky, Joe, Wiley, Benji, Matt, and Jeremy. And the producer level patrons are Yuden Veer, Toon, and Brandon G. Also, a big thanks to some of our new patrons, Shraddha and Hockey Tampa, for joining the gang and supporting this show. You can do so too by becoming a member here on YouTube. Click that join button to start your membership, or head over to patreon.com/intercutpod, where you can sign up for benefits like early access to Intercut episodes, a look at our outlines and brackets before we record them, access to private channels on the Intercut Discord, which you can join using the link in the description, and an invitation to our monthly patron video chats, which we owe one for this month. I think it might be next week. We'll talk about that. But yeah, you can get all of that for as little as $3 a month and support the show. Help us keep doing what we do here on Intercut. And hey, while we're here, just a quick reminder that you can give this podcast 5 stars on Apple, on Spotify. Spotify even lets you leave comments now. And look, if we get to 250 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts, Arturo and I, we're going to reboot this podcast in another 25 years. How's that sound?
Yeah.
You ready for the legacy quell?
Sure.
All right. So those are the shout out to the Intercuties. Thanks to all of y'all.
All righty. Looking over here, doing a quick breakdown for the coming attractions of this week. We have probably the biggest blockbuster to be coming out that should be seen in 40X, Twisters by Lee Isaac Chung, the long-awaited, people didn't even think this was on the horizon movie, where there's not one, but 2 tornadoes. We got the chance to catch this a little bit early. We'll be doing another preview that we're going to be recording right after this, but Twisters would be the biggest release of the week. I'm giving it the thumbs up. I think it's definitely that big blockbuster movie that you want to go see out in theaters. Absolutely. Fun cast and good effects.
Yeah, I think it delivers on what it promises, and it's a good time at the movies. So if you've been searching for one of those as the weather's been hot outside, this is a great reason to stay in air conditioning for 2 hours.
We're also going to be doing an entire horror breakdown with our good buddy Lee coming right up. And that's why I got to shout out one of my favorite horrors of this year, Oddity, one of the creepiest mannequin, supernatural type of stories out there that I would highly recommend with the lights completely on. It is coming to theaters before I believe it goes to Shudder. Highly recommend it. Give this one a watch. It premiered at South by Southwest.
Nice. Yeah, very excited to check this one out this weekend.
A couple of other ones is the limited release of Crossing, which was playing over, if I'm not mistaken, at the Tribeca Film Festival, a foreign language film making its debut. Did you catch that one?
I didn't, but it's been getting pretty good buzz. I think it actually first premiered at Berlin before coming to Tribeca.
Oh, even better cosign. Damn.
Exactly, right? So it's been doing the rounds, and yeah, it has approval from a lot of people that I respect. So
one that is not premiered at any establishments that we respect is My Spy: The Eternal City, but it is the long-awaited sequel to the other My Spy movie. I think this one's on Prime. Give that one a watch if you're interested in. But coming to VOD is a movie we would recommend from Sundance, and that is Thelma, the first somehow feature film that actually stars June Squibb as the lead, based off the true story of the director's grandmother who got kind of hacked and duped online. And June Squibb's like, you know what? What if it was Nebraska starring me? And it's a cute story. It's perfect at home, and hopefully gets put on a streaming service so that more people can catch this one. Highly recommend it. Thelma.
Yeah, really entertaining watch.
The complete opposite of entertaining for Zach was this movie called Skywalkers: A Love Story that we caught at home. We caught it at the Airbnb during Sundance, and even then, they're insane. They're psychopaths. If you were to have caught this at a like actual giant screen, you might have gotten vertigo. But it is a true story, a documentary about these people who met. and fell in love with going up on really high places that even at Sundance, they said that they were trying to climb the Egyptian. I think they get some really good shots in this, even if the couple is like really out there. But it's going to come to Netflix. So if you're interested in it, give it a watch. It has some insane visuals. Skywalkers,
Yeah,
a love story.
it seems like it's like free solo, but for those people who illegally
Honestly,
climb skyscrapers. I just have too big of a fear of heights to even watch more than a
Fire
few
of
minutes of
Love,
this
dude.
movie
Fire of Love, because
behind my
both
eyes.
of them
Oh,
actually like the dumb stuff they were
yes.
going through. At least in Free Solo, she was smart enough to look at the camera and go like, I ain't got no choice. But in Fire of Love, they were both delusional. These two even more so. But hey, love is love, I guess. And then the last one, I don't even know how you would break this one down, because it is I want to say throwback, a period piece called Lady in the Lake, a mini series over on Apple TV Plus that premiered its first 2 episodes, if I'm not mistaken. Starring Natalie Portman. It looks really good. I think Enora's in this, if I'm not mistaken. I kept looking at her. I was like, I'm pretty sure you're Enora, not one of the other Adlin girls. From what I saw from the first episode, it's pretty good. It's like Mrs. Maisel, but none of the comedy whatsoever, as there's like a crime thriller story happening, and it kind of feels like it's jumping to different points. But it comes from Alma Harrell, and I did not realize that she was a director on this. She did Honey Boy, brought Jupe into this as well, and she's directing the hell out of this. So I'm very curious to see where this is going to go. This, the other one that we were just mentioning with Rashida Jones, Apple TV Plus, a lot of series right now towards the end.
Yeah, they're cranking them out, and they're not doing a whole lot of promo for them. Like, I found out that there's a new Natalie Portman TV show because I saw an interview on Seth Meyers on my YouTube recommended. Like,
Ridiculous.
that's a little crazy that they're not pushing Natalie Portman on
Portman's.
TV. Yeah.
Everyone's out there. But let's talk about our recommendations for the week. I'm doing a bunch of throwbacks, since I did recommend Oddity, Twisters, all the good stuff that is new. But I went back to watch some old stuff with all the horrors that were out there, and with Longlegs being pretty much a copy pasta to a degree before its twist of Silence of the Lambs. I went back, showed Alina Silence of the Lambs, and I mean, there's a reason why this was the last Best Picture winner for a horror film. Everything in this fires on all cylinders. If you've never seen it, do yourself a favor, go watch it. It's streaming on Prime right now for free, but I believe it should be available to the Library of Congress for everyone to watch, because this is a masterpiece of a movie, and it definitely still lives up all these years later. I also wanted to recommend 32 Sounds, which just had its streaming premiere over on the Criterion channel. Longlegs also talked about this like a 360 microphone that they had. This whole movie is specifically meant for you to watch with headphones. It's a documentary, but was also pitched throughout festivals as like an experimental audio project. Give this one a watch if you're interested. Get the best headphones you've got. I think it's a really interesting experience more than it is a movie. 32 Sounds on the Criterion channel. And then the last one is one that I caught because they kept throwing so many emails. I was like, all right, it's out on VOD. Let me go catch it. Dude, this movie's been available since like 2020, been playing at so many festivals. It's called Nowhere Special, and it's a real story about a guy who realizes that he's about to die, so he's doing everything with his final days to find someone to take care of his kid. You just heard me explain it to you. It is exactly that as a feature film.
That's heartening.
Sad, heartwarming, all that stuff in there. Y'all know what this is packaged to be. If you're looking for that, this fires on all cylinders. It is out on VOD right now, but I know the moment this hits streaming somewhere, you're going to have so many people posting about it, crying, telling you, how have you not seen this movie? And with that true story aspect of it, it definitely delivers. So keep this one on your radar. My little independent throwback recommendations for this week. Zach, what you got?
I got a couple throwbacks as well.
You
my
going
first
farther?
one is, I'm going to 1996 to start with Twister, not Twisters, but the original Twister, which I hadn't seen prior to this week. And guess what? It rips. I mean, like, there's certainly problems with it. There's like a very cringy moment that's meant to be like sexual tension filled, but it's just Bill Paxton very awkwardly trying to like clip a wire onto Helen Hunt. But it's still got just like great disaster movie qualities. And I don't know, man, I think tornadoes are pretty cool. I find them fascinating. I just had a good time with this one, especially because it's got so many recognizable faces in it. I mean, beyond the leads, you have Carrie Elwes, Alan Ruck, Philip Seymour Hoffman, the director of Tar, Todd Field, showing up. even in small roles, people like Zachary Grenier or Patrick Fischler showing up for half a second. It's just full of people that we've come to love. So I don't know if I would have felt this way in 1996, but speaking from the present tense, it's just such a good time to see some of these actors in their element. And yeah, I just had a lot of fun with it. I also had a lot of fun with The Third Man, a classic film that I had never seen before. Oh, I messed up in our document, but yeah, this is a really incredible crime thriller from 1940s. This was selected by, I believe, the British Film Institute as the best British film ever made, and I think Time Out magazine also voted it like the best British film ever made. It's just a really satisfying, fun, twisty mystery thriller set in post-war Vienna, as a man who is traveling to meet up with a friend of his finds himself suddenly thrust into a world of murder and deception and crime. But it's just got this zippiness to it. It's got this energy. There's this chaos too, because there's these unsubtitled foreign languages happening, because in post-war Vienna, the country is divided into different sectors. It's just a really good time. And then Orson Welles shows up and chews all the scenery. But the way it's shot is just so remarkable. They've got these like almost Dutch angles, not quite, letting you know things are askew, and the lighting is incredible. The use of shadows, and it all culminates in one of the like coolest on foot chase sequences that maybe has ever been put on film through the sewers of Vienna. It's a really satisfying, entertaining movie that I think like holds up even if you have more of a modern eye towards film. I think you'll find this one pretty enjoyable, and it's available to stream free on Tubi. So yeah. And the last one, it maybe isn't a full throwback, but it kind of feels like a throwback. We haven't talked about Hundreds of Beavers on the Weekend Must Watch yet. We both had it in our best movies of the year so far, but I thought it's worth giving another shout out now that it's on VOD and digital, and apparently being screened for the Library of Congress, which is pretty cool. Just an incredibly inventive, hilarious, Looney Tunes inspired live action comedy with these sort of stop motion-y elements to it. It really is like a perfect marriage between silent comedy, Looney Tunes, video games, and all sorts, and maybe Jackass. I don't know. I was laughing my ass off, but mostly I was just stunned with the vision of it, because there's nothing out there quite like Hundreds of Beavers. Like, in a way, it's this year's Skidamarink in the movie that just feels the most untethered from the rest of the movie industry. So hopefully you have a chance to see it, and if you haven't, give it a watch this weekend.
That is it for this week's show. So you can find more from us over on the Intercut Pod, me over at LME Movies. Zach, where can people find more from you?
At Zshevich or at Multiplex Show.
A reminder that you can listen to every episode of the Intercut Podcast on iTunes, Anchor, Spotify, or whatever your favorite podcatcher is. And you can catch the live video here on YouTube.com, where we go through every weekend must-watch pick that we have every Monday. It's Friday. It's some point in the week. You're going to get the recommendations. A big shout out to all the Intercuties who listen live, all the patrons, all the iTunes listeners who leave us that 5-star review. We appreciate y'all. Don't forget to leave us a comment, drop a like, and follow all of the socials over on Intercut Pod. Like Zach said, we'll be doing an upcoming Patreon hangout. We've also got a lot of extras that are up there. So we'll have the Twisters review up there. We're going to be doing a horror breakdown with our good buddy Lee over from the Drum Drums channel, who's waiting for us right now. So we're going to go meet up with him at this moment in time. But until next time, keep watching movies, and we'll send you that cow from Twisters. Take care.
Moo.